No breath, no heartbeat, just static remains. Hollow reflections, ghosts in the crowd. So come burn down my escape. I wanna feel it, come drag me into the void. Let my circuits decay. I'm sorry, but it's too late.
Well, good evening, everybody. It is that time of the week again. Welcome back to Trackside Broadcasting. Thank you for joining us again tonight, everybody. And if you're new to us tonight, thank you very much for popping along. You all know me not by now, but if not, I'm Gaz. I'm one of your race commentators for this evening. I hope you've all had a very good week since we saw you last. Enjoying this bank holiday weekend, this lovely 3-dayer if you're over in the UK with us as much as I am. But no, we are back. We are doing best of British this season, remember? So we are bringing you all the best this great nation of ours has to offer. It is race 7 of 8 tonight. We are getting ever so much closer to the end of season 11 now. Just 2 races remain. Tonight, though, one of those 2 races left. We're at Snetterton. We're on the 300 layout, so the slightly longer one tonight. It's a great track they have up for us here this evening, so hopefully we're going to get some good racing in. But before we get started, as always, I want to thank the Tanzo Racing Group for having us and letting us bring you all of the action each and every week this season. Also want to thank our sponsors, Spectra Racing, Clark St. James Motorsport, and us here at Trackside Broadcasting for making all of this happen for you guys at home. Good evening again, everyone. We are on race 7 of 8 tonight, getting closer, like I said, to the end of the season. 2 races left. There's still some spots and some points to be played for this year. We've had some great races along the way. But with that said, we've not been here for 7 days again. And you know how much I love these GT3s. And I know how much the guy that I'm about to bring in loves them as well. So I'm going to get him in here with me right now, my right hand man, every single week, all night long for these brilliant races. Mr. Jimmy Marshall, how are you doing this evening, sir?
I am doing very, very well, thank you. How are you doing?
Jimmy, I'm fantastic. It's Monday and I haven't had to go to work. It's been the best Monday ever. Like, of course, I'm great tonight, mate, and we've got some brilliant racing to round it all off. Sadly, before I have to think about going back to my 9 to 5 tomorrow. How are you doing though?
Yeah, I'm doing absolutely great. Like I said, got the day off. I might have to start calling you Garfield from now on from how much you seem to complain about Monday.
Well, I think people will agree with me and let me know in the comments as well, guys. But Mondays are well and truly the worst day of the week. I'd quite like to meet the person who said we're going to work 5 days and have 2 days off only and punch him in the face. But moving on from that one, Jimmy, we are back in Snetterton this season. We are back here tonight. We're on the 300, that slightly longer layout. How are you feeling about this one tonight?
Yeah, it's a really really cool track, this one. It's got some really like really unconventional corners compared to most ones you see on a lot of tracks, and yeah, some with some funny names if you say them in the wrong way, depending on your accent. I mean, particular favorite is the bomb hole, and
just careful how you say that one if you're going to reel that one out real quick as we go. Just to confirm, that is the bomb hole there, just for everybody at
honestly,
home.
I think it sounded worse when you said it there. But
Yeah, it's the accent. It's the accent. It gets me a lot there, Jim. But no,
yeah,
sorry. Carry on, Snetterton.
B
What you feeling?
BOMB, just for those listening at home. But yeah, no, yeah, it's a really it's a great track. I think it's really good for these kind of cars, and yeah, it's got some good overtaking zones, some technical sections, but it has got that classic British thing about it where there is absolutely no runoff, so it is very unforgiving if you make a mistake. But
No,
that's it.
absolutely. I was just talking about that with the marshal before we came on, and we was talking about how strict it really is round here, and how much you've got to stay within those track limits on this track. We know how strict these British tracks are, but here it just seems ever so much more. You've got to be so careful about your track limits. I think we're going to see if we see much battling going on tonight, I think we're going to see a lot of people potentially getting up to those 20-point markers, Jim.
Yeah, I think you're gonna have to be very careful. I mean, it is fairly easy in the GT3s to keep it within limits. There's a couple corners which are a little bit sketchy, but I think these guys know what they're doing by now.
No, absolutely. Five left-hand corners, seven right-hand corners, 12 in total. It is 3 miles long, about 4.8 kilometers long total per lap, Jim. It should be a good one. But just before we head down to track though, Jimmy, do you just want to remind everybody at home and for anybody new joining us this evening just how it works here in the Tanzo Racing Group?
Yep, absolutely. So we are on, as you've mentioned already, race 7 of 8 for this season, the penultimate race. So nearing the end. But right now, the drivers are in qualifying. So they're in a 15-minute closed qualifying session. So they're qualifying on their own. Uh, just give them the best lap time, like no distractions around them, best lap times possible for themselves, and get the best spot on the grid for when we start. Then we got a brief 5-minute warm up for the drivers for them to do with as they wish, whether they want to get a little bit of like extra practice in or take a little break, grab a drink, you know what. And then we are on to the 60-minute race. So we have opened setups for this season, so the drivers can tune the cars exactly how they would like them to get the most out of it, and hopefully give them the uh, the better season for themselves. We've seen a few drivers definitely taking advantage of that. And then yeah, that is we got 60% fuel on board as well. Need to mention that. So pit stops are mandatory, which does add a little extra tactical element into the race.
There you go. There you go. All the rules and regs there in the Tanzo Racing Group for you guys. Jimmy, just before we move on, though, we've got a regular in the comments. We've got Marshmallow back with us. I'm sorry, I don't know if you want to have a read of that one. And I don't know if you want to say that one, but I'm going to leave that one to you there, mate. But that is an absolute brilliant comment there from Marshmallow on that one. I'm loving that one. Good evening, Marshmallow. Lovely to have you back with us again this evening. Marshmallow, sit with us tonight because I want to know who your driver of the day is and what you're thinking throughout the race this week. But Jimmy, we've got that prize pool, haven't we, this season?
We do indeed. So we have £100 prize money up for grabs this season, with £50 of that going to P1 overall in the pros, and the other 50 going to P1 overall in the AMs. Then we have an additional £25 generously donated by one of the drivers themselves, which is going to go to the safest driver of the season. So that £25 has been donated by our own Harry Seven here. And yeah, if you can check out his YouTube channel, Murby Goes, give him a little shout out. Go check him out over there. So yeah, he has also said, even if he ends up as the safest driver, he is not taking the money. It will go to the next safest driver as well. Just
Yeah,
so
I don't think he'd be taking his own money there, can he, Jim? That would be a bit of a devilish move there from him if he did. But no, go check him out, guys. Murby Goes and at Murby Goes on YouTube, and check us out as well. If you're here with us this evening and you're not already subscribed, what are you doing? Hit that subscribe button, drop us a like, follow along with us each and every single week. But Jimmy, we're coming up to the 10-minute mark now in qualifying. These guys can see it in the background. We can see it as well. Shall we pop down to track and have a little look and see how these guys are getting on?
yep, let's take a little look now. So leading the way at the moment, fastest in pros and overall, Matthew Down currently on track with a 1 minute 46.3. Jordan Butler the fastest AM at the moment with a 1 minute 46.5, and he is in second place. So it's close between the pros and the AMs at the moment, but we only have 8 currently out on track.
So I think there's about 11 drivers. I saw in practice just before we went on the air, Jimmy, tonight. I know there's been like a 24-hour of Nürburgring go on this week, and like I said, it's been a bank holiday weekend here in the UK. So it's one of those. I am hearing we've got 12 drivers tonight now, so they're not all out on track just yet. But no, it's one of those on the bank holiday weekend. The weather's not been too bad here in the UK either. It's not been the best, but it's not been the worst. So you can't forgive you can't say no to people having a lovely little break on the long weekends, can you? Really?
Yeah, I mean, especially with the 24 hours of Nürburgring, I imagine a lot of the people who took part in that are going to be absolutely knackered at the end of that.
Yeah,
Obviously, they're not
I
driving
know a
for the
few of the
full 24
drivers.
hours, but
Yeah, I know a few of the drivers, obviously here with us in the GT3s, and a couple of the guys who normally with us with the Toyota 86s as well. Last night they were in the 24 hours, so they weren't with us. You can't blame them, can you? Really though, 24 hours is an absolute slog and a half. It's going to take it out of you.
yeah, I mean, it's just mentally draining, mentally exhausting, and
No,
yeah.
it'll be quite an interesting one to see tonight. One name that obviously I think we're all quite used to seeing up there is Andy White and Harry Price. Haven't seen either of them two set a time at the minute, and we're just over 11 minutes in. George Butler, we all know how good he is. He's Mr. Consistent up there. He won last week for the AMs, sitting P2, P1 in the AMs currently at the moment with a few minutes left to go. So he's doing himself really, really well tonight. Matt Down, though, Jimmy, if you cast your mind back to last week, Matt Down was having a brilliant race. And I can't remember exactly it was what happened. I don't know if you can, but he ended down near the bottom of the pack. I think something else went on, and that was his race over. He was having such a strong race in the first half of last week's race, though.
Yeah, didn't he have a bit of a spin, like the back end kicked out, and then he just lost it on the grass, didn't he?
Yeah,
But
it was something like that. I can't remember because I remember we had a few different incidences, but we had quite a lot of them on the same corners. I couldn't remember exactly which one was his.
yeah, I'm surprised. As you mentioned, Andy White as well. His partner is in the YouTube chat as well, giving the good old "Come on, Andy." And but yeah, he hasn't come out and set a time just yet. He might be doing a cheeky little last to first. Might be make it a bit more interesting for himself
Hey,
there.
I tell you though, if someone can do it, and no offense to any other driver out there and anyone listening right now with us, like you're all brilliant. But Andy White has just shown week by week how strong he really is. Now, he is actually leading the season as we are going into week 7 now, Jim. He's sitting lovely and comfortably up at the top of the leaderboard, 234 points with Harry Price sitting just behind him, 210. So there's about a 24-point gap lead there at the moment. It's mainly them two. Harry Sevens is sitting in third at the minute for the pros, 156. So he's quite a way off the two ahead of him. Week 7 of race 7 of 8, it's gonna be one of those two, but you're thinking it's gonna be Andy White. And hey, if he's trying to do a last to first, I'll respect that. It's something I'm going to be very much keeping an eye on if he does decide to do it, Jim. I don't know how you're
Well,
feeling on that.
I think we got confirmation of that in the YouTube chat. Samantha's just said he is starting from the back. So yeah, that should be
Ah,
it's definitely one to watch
Samantha.
there. I mean, if
Samantha,
his
first of all, good evening. But no, that's a brilliant tactic there from him. Like again, we know how strong he is, Jim. What's your thoughts?
well, I mean, his championship rival doesn't seem to be setting a lap time either. So I guess yeah, I guess now's probably the best time to do it and have just a bit of fun, really. If you know you got the championship pretty much in the bag, why not give yourself a chance to actually race some of the drivers?
Well, like I say, he's got a 24-point lead at the moment. We know consistently each week he's been in the top two. There's no disputing how good of a driver he is. Him and indeed Harry Price as well. But with that 24 gap lead, 2 weeks left to go, 2 races. Is it something you're really going to play around with? Like, I don't know if I would. I'd be trying to get out there and get myself back up into P1, which I know I can do, and just dominate this race again. But if he's doing the challenge, Jim, it's something we do like to see here.
Yeah, so speaking of something that we do like to see as well, we got Valeria Zanato in the YouTube chat giving a little shout out to Christopher Haynes over there. He has set the exact same time to the thousandths of a millisecond as Baz up there at the same
Ah, but
time. I
Mr.
I
Baz
do quite
Lowe's.
like the old when people set the same times as each other. It's just quite satisfying to see on the board. But,
Of course, and it's always good to have Baz in here with us. He's a regular in the chats when we're on the other series, isn't he, Jim? He's a good lad,
He is a
and
good lad.
we like seeing him. We like seeing him race along with us. Currently sitting P4 out on a track at the moment, P4 in the pros. But Jimmy, we've got 5 seconds left. I'm thinking that's pretty much it. A 1:45.8 there at the top of the leaderboard is your quickest time on the board today. What are we thinking?
Well, I mean, like we said, Andy White definitely one to watch, see how it goes. But Matthew Down, he was setting some blistering times up there, half a second quicker than the next car. But interestingly, the next car is an AM, so he's basically nearly 8 tenths quicker than his nearest rival in the race with Matthew Massey. So yeah, leaving the well, I'll do a quick run through of the timing board at the moment. So starting in first, we have Matthew Down. Then we have Jordan Butler, Matthew Massey, Baz Cutting, Christopher Haynes, James Vardigans, Ryan Clark, Sean Clark, Casper Roost, Raymond Van Zutphen, Andy White, and John Harley is our 12th driver on the grid, also not setting a time.
Hey, Jimmy, an interesting one there with Harry being 24 points behind Andy in them standings. Sorry, just going about that one again. Harry not in the race tonight. If Andy does indeed go from last to first and get that win again, going into that last week, you're pretty convinced you know who's going to be lifting the title by the before that race even starts, before those
Well,
lights go out.
I believe they have a drop week as well, don't they? So 1 week of their scoring, I believe it's their worst week, isn't classified. So
Yeah,
they
but
can
we'll have to
afford to
see.
lose a week. So yeah, I mean, if worst comes to worst with Andy White here, and he ends up last place, or something happens while he's working his way through the field, it shouldn't affect the scores whatsoever. But I think we do need a little bit of confirmation on that just to double check. We have got
it,
um,
it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see him go from last to first, won't it? Because we're used to seeing him pretty much take out usually quite a big lead. So we'll have to keep an eye and see what he does, though. But just flicking it over to the AMSA real quick, though. James Moore currently leading the standings there, 171 points. George Butler, Mr. Consistent, 164 in second place, not too far off him, with Elmer Van Beek, 162. Dan Paul behind him in fourth, 179. There's not a lot between those top four drivers there in the AM, so I think it's still pretty open for those guys down there.
yeah, it's still pretty much anyone's game, and it could chop and change. I mean, 2 weeks, a lot can happen per race, really. So yeah, you still got to give it your all, and even if you do have a drop week, you don't really want to be using it as kind of just a throwaway week, or if you're busy or whatever, you kind of still want to be getting the best scores possible. So
No, there you go, there you go. So something we'll definitely keep an eye on after the race is over, see how the points settle out. Then what we're going into the last week with, because like I said, I think if Andy does what he does in the pros and just absolutely dominates like we know he can, pros is wrapped up the way I see it, especially with Harry not being here. I don't think third place can pull up enough of a position. Sorry, Harry seven in third can pull up enough in the last 2 weeks to do that if Andy does come first. But no, all to play for in the AMS though here. I mean, coming towards the end of season 11 in the GT3s in the Panzo Racing Group this season. Can't
yeah,
believe we're
and
coming to the nearly to the end of it again.
I know, and we've had I believe it a little. They have got another season coming up very soon, and the track list is available for the drivers at the moment. So if any of the drivers are listening, then yeah, please feel free to sign up for the next season already, and then get your
Yeah,
name
please
on the
do.
board.
Join us along, join us along. And if you've been watching us along at home and you're not a part of it, just sign up. It is a great league to be a part of. It really, really is. You've seen some great racing this season, and we do hope to continue it again. Jimmy, me and you both know we've had a sneak peek at the tracks for next season. I think we can safely say there is some absolute crackers potentially on the board for next year,
I think
next
there's no
season.
potentially about it. They are. I think they're all absolute belters of a track. A lot of my
Right,
personal favourites, a lot of
yeah.
like
Well,
most people's personal favourites, and
look, we're not going to give away any of the names, but I'm looking at the list now, Jimmy, and yeah, there is some absolute belters. I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. I don't. But yeah, guys, make sure if you have joined us this season, join us next season. There's going to be some great races. Tell your friends, tell your family, get them to watch along as well. And if they want to race, like I said, sign on up and coming along for the fun. But Jimmy, we're just under a minute to go here. we're going to get ready for the drivers to line up on the grid and get that rolling start underway that we're all used to here in the GT3s. And then it is 60 minutes of racing action. Before we get underway, though, just one more time, I want to thank the Tanzo Racing Group for having us, and to all of our sponsors, Spectra Racing, Clark St. James Motorsport, and us here at Trackside Broadcasting, bringing you the action each and every single week. We are nearly at that time, though, Jimmy. We're nearly good to go.
Yeah, I've done personally a fair bit of racing around Snetterton, and that first turn, it's a very high speed, decently long right-hander, and it can be very sketchy when you're on cold tires. So it's definitely one to watch, because if you get too far on the on that curb, it just pushes you so far out, and yeah, it can cause a bit of an accident. So yeah, that first lap I think is going to be very interesting, and I'm interested to see how the drivers cope with the cold tires and the sketchy
No,
conditions.
it really will. It really, really will. It's going to be an interesting one when we're out there tonight. We'll just hoping for some racing. The times in practice, they were all very close together. We saw some great times in qualifying. The grid is pretty much split with the pros and the AMs as well, so we really should get some good racing tonight.
Yeah, let's see how it goes. Yeah, it's a real like mixed bag of where everyone is on track. I mean,
Quite used to
Snetterton's a
seeing the
very
pros and yeah.
yeah,
No,
it's a
sorry,
very
please.
common track, so the drivers have probably most of them have driven it quite a lot. So I imagine that kind of narrows the skill gap around there because a lot of people are going to be very familiar with it. I think for a
I
lot of
do
people as
like.
well,
Go
it's
on.
one of their first tracks they drive on iRacing. So
I was just about to say that one. With dabbled around a little bit myself. I'm not too much of a racer myself when it comes to the proper stuff. But no, when I first went on, Snetterton was one of those ones. I started off on the small circuit just to get used to it, and then quickly get up to the 300, which we're on the longest version. But no, Jimmy, I think we're waiting on one car and we're about to get going. But it is a great track to learn to drive on.
yeah, I mean the lights are out and the drivers are about to do their pace lap.
Looks
So
like
one
Christopher
person, yeah,
Haynes.
Christopher Haynes failed to grid up. So starting from the pit lane, not too big an issue. Um, I mean, I think Andy White would be happy about this because he's already gained a free position, one less person to worry about. But no, interesting one. I don't know why he didn't grid up, and that I think yeah, it's gonna scupper him a
Yeah,
little bit at the start.
you sometimes see it, don't you? And it's not too sure why. Like you've got 5 minutes. It's one of them. Like I can't imagine you're off downstairs making a sandwich in those 5 minutes. But no, you think you'd be ready to grid up with everybody else, so you don't lose any positions there. So Chris Faines, yeah, like you said, starting from the pits there, Jim Andy White already making one position. The race hasn't even got going yet. He is phenomenal. But no, it's going to be an interesting one. It's going to be an interesting one indeed. For like I said, we've only got 12 drivers out on the grid tonight. It is at bank holiday. There has been that 24-hour, so a few less on the grid tonight. So a few more points up for grabs for people, maybe with a few of those other drivers out.
Yeah, and we're just coming up to the final corner now before we get underway. So it'll be down to when Matthew Down crosses the start finish line, the safety car in front is going to dip into the pit lane. And then, yeah, when Matthew Down crosses that start finish line, that is when they will go underway. So, keeping
Safety cars
pace,
in.
keeping pace. You can see the safety, the start finish line coming up very soon. Lights are out, and they are off. Matthew Down getting a very good start there. Same with Jordan Butler as well. 3 wide behind them. That's going to be very sketchy going through this first turn on those cold tyres. Tricky conditions there. Matthew Down carrying so much speed in that first turn. The same with Sean Clark here. Getting an overtake done already. Drivers look very planted, very confident in their cars this early on, which is always a good sign. And yeah, we like to see it. No accidents so far. Matthew Down gaining 4.4 on Jordan Butler. Jordan Butler gaining almost a second on Matthew Massey at the start already. So gaps starting to form. They got some catching up to. Christopher Haynes, most of all, starting from that pit lane, 10 seconds behind. He's got a lot of work to do to get back up that field.
Absolutely, he's got some work to do indeed. A lot there happening up at the top of the grid there to start off with, though, Jimmy. But it was an absolute phenomenal start there from Andy White, who was going to start from the very back, but ended up starting in P11 thanks to Christopher Haynes not joining us at the start of the race there. He's got himself up to P9 at the moment, and he's chasing down
Oh.
Sean Clark just in front of him. So he's just probably about to take him. There you go. Just went around the outside of him there. Gains another position up to P8. He's chasing down these drivers already in front of him. He's trying to get this done real soon. The 60 minutes, Andy. Come on, slow it down. There you go. He takes another one. Takes Casperoos up to P7 there. He's had a brilliant start. Now, a little bit of a gap now to make up to James Vardigan, just under a second and a half. So we'll have to check back in with him and see how he's getting on very, very shortly. But no, just leading the way at the moment. Matthew Down still P1 at the moment, followed by Jordan Butler in P2, P1 in the AMS, followed by Matt Massey down in P3 with Baz cutting just behind him. Ryan Clark chasing him down in P5 with James Vardigans in P6. Andy White, like I said, in P7 with Crass Perouse down to P8. Sean Clark in P9. Raymond Van Zutphen in P10 with John Harley P11 and Christopher Haynes still at the back at the moment, starting from the pits in P12. 13 seconds just over that to make up. He's got a lot of work to do there tonight already.
Yeah, I mean, he's at the disadvantage as well. I mean, we do talk, I talk about it a lot at length, but it is one of the most important things from the early stages of the race is getting those tyres up to temperature. And starting in the pit lane, you get the colder tyres, you get less grip, you're less confident on those first few laps, and then you end up being a lot slower. So he's going to have he's going to have
Well,
his work cut out for him before he starts to find confidence and starts to speed up once again. But there you go, he's dipping into 12.7 seconds
well,
now. He has
he
gained a
was
little
about
bit of time.
he was about 11 seconds at the start of that race, just coming around the first few corners. So he did drop off a couple of seconds. I think it's in pole tyres, like you said, Jimmy. He didn't get a chance to warm them up at all. Everyone else did. They're all grouped up as well. They're all bumping each other along. They're all dragging each other along. So it's one of those. Got a fair bit to do. Like you said, he's broken into that 12-second mark now, though. Just over 12 and a half seconds off John Harley in P11 at the moment. But no, they seem to have settled in a little bit. There's a few gaps forming all over now. George Butler just falling off of Matt Down in P2 at the moment, but that won't bother him too much. He's sitting P1 in the AMS quite comfortably. Like I said, he finished last week Donington Park in a race 6, Jim. He was P1 in the AMS last week. He'll be looking for it again this week. He's got what? 1, 2, 3, 4 pros sitting between him and James Vardigans, all the way down in P7, who is the next person he's really got to be worried about. But we know how strong George Butler is. He won't want to let any of these pros get past him. He'll want to keep that nice little buffer. He had it last week between himself and Christopher Haynes, who finished in P2. And I think he'll be looking to keep that buffer again.
Yeah, I think he will be. And yeah, Andy White has got so much pace coming out of these corners. Like the speed he's getting to overtake down the straights is just immense. I think he's definitely feeling the most confident on track on that one particular corner exit. So that's going to be very good news for him about working his way back up the field. Jordan Butler though, 3 seconds behind Matthew Down now. I mean, Matthew, like they've got a bit of catching up to do, but for Jordan's race, his next opponent is James Vardigan's down in P7. I think he's gonna be very happy with that start as they've got going already. Andy White putting the moves on Ryan Clark there. Can he get the move done? Ryan Clark not making it easy for him.
Side
And
by side at the moment, Jimmy, to come down. But Andy White does have the inside. Will he make it stick? Yes, he does there. Will they be looking for a switchback? He's not going to get it done.
no, James
James
Vardigan
Vardigan's
sits down on the inside.
James Vardigan's was sitting in the spot there that I think Ryan Clark was going to try and get into if he was going to get that switchback done, and didn't allow it to happen. So no, Andy White gaining another position there up to P5, P4 in the pros at the moment. So he's well, what we're just coming to 5 minutes in, and he's pretty much got himself back up into those podium spots there. That is an absolute great one. Couple of comments though, Jimmy, in the YouTube chat. J Bot Racing, come on Matt Down, P1 nice. And then JD Jimmy Drift, go on Vardigans, team up shift.
I don't think that was the right accent for that one, but we'll roll with it. We'll roll with it.
Go on, and it's this Caribbean, Jamaican kind of styling. You know that's my groove there, Jimmy. So I'm going to stick with it. We're going to stick with it. Go on, Vardigans, team up shift. I do apologise if I have
Oh,
offended anybody there. Jimmy, let's just move on from that one. I can hear the disgust in your voice. Matthew Down setting the fastest lap of the day. We're moving on, Jimmy. I just told you. Matthew Down set the fastest lap of the day so far, a 1:46.5, with Jordan Butler setting a 1:47.5 behind him. Nearly a second in it right there. Thank you to Mr. Connor Pink there for that comment. I did just see it. Don't worry, no one else can. got me on that one. But no, Jimmy, it's been an interesting first 6 minutes of this race so far. Look, we just leave it alone, all right? I did it and it happened. We're all going to ignore the fact that that just happened, all right? You know I like my accents. I haven't got to do it in this best of British so far this season. Can you guys please stop sending me a gift privately on Discord? I will speak to you both accordingly afterwards. Let's move on, Jimmy. Matt Down still leading the way in the pros, and George Butler still leading the way in the AMs. What's your thoughts on the race so far?
Well, I think one person to keep an eye on is James Vardigans right now. He is really putting the pressure on Ryan Clark in front of him. He keeps getting just that little bit, getting his nose on in the inside, and I think he's going to want to get that move done. He definitely feels a little bit quicker on track, but whether that's a slipstream or whether it's skill, who knows? Ryan Clark is still leading their little fight, though, at the moment. Matthew Down pulling 4.5 seconds on Jordan Butler, but I think most of all, that's going to be 5.5 seconds pretty much on Matthew Massey, which is the fight that he is in at the moment. Andy White definitely fighting his way through the field, coming up on Baz Cutting very soon. And yeah, let's keep an eye on James Vardigan's here, dropping off a little bit towards the back, but he definitely seems very confident through that middle section. Casper
Oh, is that
Russo,
Casper Roos spinning around there, Jimmy? What happened to Casper there?
he is not liking that Audi R8 this this
No,
season.
he's spinning right round. Let's have a look what happened with him here. So he just loses it on that first part of the chicane. I don't think he's got it down for the second. And to be fair, he's lucky he's going half right the right way around that corner there. Not great driving from Casper Roos. Is it that Audi, James? Really? Because we're not seeing anybody else pushing the Audi this season.
It might be partly the Audi, but it's also that particular part of the track is quite a difficult part of the track. You'll see it when we do an onboard later on with another driver. But essentially, you're braking and turning at the same time, which is going to cause a lot of heat in your tires. And the track's a little bit bumpy there, but then you're also shifting all the weight to the right hand side of the car as you turn into the first part. But you're continuing to brake and slow your car down before you get on the accelerator, and then you turn into an immediate right hander, which is going to shift all of that weight onto the left hand side of the car. So you're just shifting all the weight from right to left, putting all that heat and forces through those tires, and it's so easy to have a moment there. I think we'll see it a fair few more times before the end of the race because it
No,
does wear on those tires.
no, absolutely, absolutely. It's happening to Casper quite soon in the race. That's not a good sign of things to come there. So we'll have to see. Maybe get some new tires on at the pit. Let's have another look at this, Jim. So yeah, he comes around. Yeah, I don't feel like he's got full control. He's definitely not got no control of that one right there. Is that another one, or is that the same
Yeah,
one? I'm
that's
just
a
seeing
different
from
part
the
of the
back.
track, isn't it?
Casper is having an absolute shot tonight. I know he won't mind me saying, but we know Casper's a lot better than that. That puts him down to a rock bottom at the back of the pack in P12 at the moment, pushing Christopher Haynes up, who's now got some time on John Harley. Just broke into that second mark there, so it took him a few minutes. It took him about 9 minutes to catch up, but he's done it. So he's now going to be fighting with a couple of other people. But then there's about a 5.5 second gap to Raymond ahead though. But no, Matt Down still sitting in P1. George Butler's still sitting in P1 for the AMs, 1 and 2, respectively, on track. Andy White's got himself up to P4 now. Matt Massey not far in front of him. And we know Matt Massey's chasing down George Butler. That's been about the half a second mark for a couple of laps now, at least. I know at least for a few minutes, keeping an eye on that one. As Chris Haynes gets himself up to P10 there over John Harley, now making the move happen. But no, Andy White up to P4, Jimmy. It's a brilliant drive from him so far. We're not even 10 minutes in. We got so much time left.
Oh, James Vardigan's he's got a really good exit out of that corner, getting a lot of speed, but not the straight isn't quite long enough to get alongside Ryan Clark here. But look how close he is behind that car, putting a lot of pressure on him. I think Ryan's going to start looking in his mirrors anytime soon. I think his onboard's going to show you just how close he's going to start getting through some of these corners. We've got the big straight coming up very soon as they. I know we're
That's a great
going
corner
past the
from
big
him.
straight now.
Sorry,
I
that's a
get lost
great
so easy
corner
on
from
this
him.
track.
It's all right. It's all right. That was just a great corner from there, gaining a couple of tenths there in that one corner alone there, Jim. Really, we can see how close he's getting up to Ryan Clark. There's still a few tenths left to go. We know we've seen him drive a lot closer than this. Oh, I absolutely love that. Thank you for that one, cameraman. That is a great angle right there. He's chasing Ryan Clark ahead of him right down, looking to make that move happen. Is James Vardigan's here.
Yeah, and Ryan Clark
Ryan
going a little
Clark.
bit wide
Yeah.
into there. That gives James Vargas the opportunity to speed up, but no, he cuts the corner off, as is his right to do on corner entry, and it makes James Vardigan have to back out slightly. So he's going to have to try and fight that another race. I mean, these two aren't even in. They're not even meant to really be fighting each other. but one is an AM, one is a pro. But I mean,
Well, it's something I throw back to Jim each and every week. So like, I think I said it last night in another league that me and you do. That genuinely sometimes I don't know why we have the classes between these guys because honestly, the driving that we get from all of them all over the board is absolutely brilliant. Like look at George Butler again tonight. P1 in the AMs, he's sitting up there. He's got three pros sitting behind him, in front of James Vardigans, who's sitting in P7 on track, P2 in the AMs tonight. Like George Butler, he's Mr. Consistent each and every week. He gets himself right up in the mix with the pros and he's not down in the bottom half of the leaderboards at all. What's happened with Raymond is we cut to a little replay of him, so into the corner, just loses it.
it's that same corner
Does
that
he
we
hit the
saw
wall?
Casper Roos
Just
lose it on as well.
yeah, just
Uh,
taps the wall.
yeah, I
I
told you
don't
it's a bit
think
of a
he's
sketchy corner.
no, it really, really is. We've seen two of them. We've seen that corner claims tonight with Casper Roos and Raymond there. But no, it'll make an interesting one. Andy White now up to P2. On track P2 in the pros, getting above George Butler now. And he's got an 8 second gap now to get down to close with Matt down. Now we know Andy's quick. We've seen him put up about a 30-40 second lead in the past, Jim, but that's when he started at the front. Now he's 12 minutes in, so there's plenty of time to do it if he can catch up to Matt down and get ahead to still gain a fairly hefty gap there again, like we used to see him. But we know Matt down isn't no pushover though.
No, I mean, yeah, Andy White. I mean, it's nuts to be P2 already 8 laps in, 12 minutes into the race. But yeah, I mean, it's down to Matthew Dan now. Is he going to be able to defend for if Andy White does catch up to him, which I think might be the case because Andy White is getting a little bit of time here, there, especially now that he's given the clear air and not having to fight other drivers. So he's what has he said? A 146 dead, wasn't that at the end? So he's
I
lapping about
believe
two
so.
seconds a lap quicker than the next car behind him. I didn't manage to catch Matthew Down's lap times at the end of that one, so I have to take a look when he comes back around the next one. But
Yeah, like
actually,
maybe yeah, there we go, there we go.
there you go.
They're up there for you now, Jimmy. But yeah, nearly a 146 dead from Andy White, like you said, a 146.4 from Matt Down, and then a 148, 147 with Ryan Clark, but 148 is mainly behind him as well. He's lapping phenomenally fast, but so is Matthew Down. But that half
Yeah,
a second that he's got in it won't last for very long.
no, I mean he's already. I mean we're not about halfway through this lap that they're currently on. Well, about a minute into the lap, and Andy White's already gained half a second on Matthew Down already. So
Hey, sorry, Jimmy, but George Butler there just getting a slowdown with Matt Massey and Baz Cutting sitting right behind him there. Is that going to affect George Butler at all? Are these two going to get the move done as they come down the outside of him now, just behind the advertising board? There we go. We can see it pretty much nearly three wide there as we came to the corner. George Butler holds on to it, but still has that yellow flag next to his name, so he's still got to slow it down just a little bit. Not got too long to get that done though, has he?
no, I think this next corner might be a good opportunity to get the slow down done. Yeah, he's already done it, cutting the track a little bit while doing so. I mean that was a that was a
There you
risky
go.
move. Don't want to make a
Risky move
penalty worse.
indeed, but Matt Massey and Baz Cutting going through there on George Butler now. So Matt Massey now up to P3 overall as well as P3 in the pro standings this evening. With Andy White setting a wow 145.3, Jimmy. That is a ridiculously fast time. Nearly 7 tenths off of 7 tenths shaved off of that last lap time there.
Yeah, I think he's going to be a tricky one to hold off for Matthew Down. So, yeah, I think Matthew Down's got his work cut out for him when Andy White does catch up to him. And yeah, I mean, it might be at that point they start coming up on a couple lapped cars when they start to fight because they are going at some pace right now.
So they are going at some pace, and Andy White is going at certainly some pace. There in the last couple of laps alone, Jimmy's nearly shaved off nearly 2 seconds to Matt Down. He was just under 8 seconds there. He's now just over 6 seconds off of him. We're at the 15-minute mark. We're gonna, I reckon, in about the next 10 to 15 minutes, 20 minutes, we're going to start to be looking at those pit stops as well. Is Andy going to catch Matt before the pit stops? I think if he does and gets himself into those pits first, I think that's pretty much Andy White running away with it after that point.
Yeah, I mean Andy White hasn't in previous been the quickest in pit stops, but obviously he's still pretty quick when it comes down to it. So I mean it's going to be hard work for Matthew Down to keep him off if he is sort of holding him back. But I mean, trying to hold off someone that's a second a lap quicker than you is a proper challenge, isn't it? So
No, it
yeah,
really,
he's gonna have
really
his work cut out for him.
it really is. And the thing is, I've been in Matt's down position a couple of times, not necessarily in the GT3s, Jim. As you know, they're not my forte. Not many cars are. But when you're sitting there with that kind of lead and you can see P2 chasing you down and that time is just going down and down and down. Like, look at it now, it's 5.5
Oh,
seconds. Oh, that is
that was a
Raymond
big
going
hit there.
wide there. Yeah, big hit off. Was that John Harley going
And then
through now on Raymond Van Zutphen along with Casper Roos now up into P11. Raymond dropping down to the back of the pack. We'll have a look at that replay again in a moment's time. What happened there, Jim?
I think he just did he lock up going into that corner? I think we definitely have to go back and take a look at what happened because I mean I don't think that was intentional because that'd be crazy, crazy move to
I was
do.
going to say
But
it looked like a lockup, but then there was definitely a coming together. We'll definitely have a look at that replay as soon as that becomes available to us. But no, like I was saying just a moment ago, you look at the time now. Andy White just over 5 seconds now. He's chomped down another second in the last lap alone. There, Jimmy. There you go. Marshals are going to have a look at that one. So I think once the marshals have made their mind up, we'll have a look at that. But no, it's a bit of a nerve-wracking one for me. I don't like being in Matthew Down's position now. Yes, I like being at the front of the pack, but Andy White's so fast. Look, 5 seconds now, half a second in literally the last 30 seconds alone he's gained. So I need to get to that pit stop before Andy catches up to me. Let's have a look at here what happened. So let's roll it back a little bit.
here we go. So John Harley going down the straight here. You can see
So does Raymond turn into him or?
he just breaks in a straight line. I think there's
So
nothing more to it. He just forgets to
I
turn
don't,
the wheel. Can we
yeah,
can
I
we see an
don't.
onboard of that actually when
Yeah,
it'd be
shall we
interesting
sit
to
on
see
board
if
with John or?
yeah, I want to see an onboard with John just to see what's going on here. And we'll cut to that in a second, hopefully. There we
There
go.
you go.
So he starts braking, and that wheel just, yeah, I think it just starts turning a little bit too late. When
Well,
you're on board, it's a bit harder to tell, isn't it? But I don't know if that's
it,
because of the wide
no,
angle of the
like
onboard.
no. If we take it back, sorry, Mr. Cameraman. If we take it back just one more time in a moment, maybe. Side helicopter cam on it again. I think I think it looks like John Harley. In my opinion, he's done nothing wrong there. It just looks like Raymond's expecting him to turn earlier, like you said he hasn't done. But I don't think John Harley necessarily needs to at that point, Jim. I think Raymond might have just turned into him there. So we'll have to have. Well, we can't have another look at that one for now. But that's an interesting one. That is. That's an interesting one indeed. Two very
Yeah,
different perspectives from two very different camera angles there.
yeah, I don't know how they're going to call it because I think he definitely turned in a little bit late because you saw he braked later, so I think that might have caused him to kind of understeer a little bit going into the corner. But at the same time, I think the I think the hit just seemed worse because when you're that outside car going into one of those corners and you get hit, when you're braking and turning and all that kind of stuff, it just throws off your car, and then yeah, it's worse for the outside car really. But anyway,
Yeah, it really is.
we'll leave that one for
Raymond,
the stewards to discuss and see what they're.
yeah, as soon as we know an outcome, we'll let you guys know, but I'm sure it'll pop up on a screen to let everybody know what happens there. So that's obviously between Raymond Van Zutphen and John Harley sitting in P10 and P12. But no, Jimmy, we're coming up to about a third of the way through this race, nearly at the 20-minute mark. Matt Down still leading the way, but Andy White is still absolutely chasing him down. He's got that down to nearly just under 3.5 seconds now on Matt Down, who's in P1 there. Another brilliantly fast lap, a 1:45.2 there. So I tell you, that might be an interesting one to look at when he does come up to make the overtake. That does happen before the pits, but we'll have a look at that one anyway. Matt
Yep,
Massey
just
down
to
in
interrupt
P3.
quickly though.
Yep.
It was yeah, it's a warning to both drivers for the incident. So I think one person braked too late, the other person turned in too early. So classified as a racing incident. So just a little message to the drivers saying, yeah, just be a bit careful of the other drivers around you.
Yeah, no, absolutely, Jimmy, absolutely. But no, Matt Down still leading the way, P1, Vandy White in P2. Matt Massey in P3 on track, and that is your pro positions positions at the moment. Baz cutting down P4 at the moment, so he's not too far off Matt Massey, just ahead of him, looking to gain a position and get onto the podium there. George Butler down in P5, still leading evening with Ryan Clark down in P6. James Vardigan's P7 at the moment, sat there for a little bit of time now, but under half a second of Ryan Clark in front of him. P2 in the AMS is right currently. P8, Sean Clark at the moment is your last spot on the pros, on the AMS, sorry, for this evening, followed by Christopher Haynes, John Harley, Casper Roos, and Raymond Van Zutphen.
Yeah, I mean Raymond's had a bit of a bit of a rough one. I mean Christopher Haynes though doing well to work his way back up through the field after being that far off the back of the pack, and as an AM as well. I mean he's got his work cut out for him. But no, he's
No,
not too far off for
absolutely.
Sean there. I think he'll be able to start fighting with him and
One,
possibly maybe James towards the end of the race.
Well, it's one of the things, Jimmy, that I was saying at the start of the race. There's less drivers out tonight, so there's more points to be gained. So with Chris Faines, yes, he's sitting P9 overall, but he's currently what P4 currently in the AMS at the moment. So it's a fair amount of points, and if he can get that lead down, that time down to Sean Clark in front of him, with the pits coming up very shortly, and like I said, we're only a third of the way through. We've still got 40 minutes of this race left to go, just under that. There could be some serious points here for Christopher Haynes to get. He finished P2 last week at Donington, so it's very interesting. But Jimmy, I'm getting an itching for something, mate, and it's something I know you know I love to hear off you for each and every single week. Can we do an onboard, please, my mate?
We can indeed.
Because
We'll jump aboard with Andy at the start of next lap, and we'll do a little run through so everyone at home can see what the drivers are dealing with each and every lap.
oh, see, it's just coming up to one of them. We've had a couple of little onboards so far. It's just been teasing me. The cameraman's been teasing me with it. You know how much I absolutely love to see it, and I'm sure the guys at home do as well. We get a real feel for what these drivers see. Oh, Baz
Oh,
got him
Baz having a
taking
bit of
a
a spin
spin
there.
there. Unfortunate for the guy. We'll have a look at that one very, very shortly. But no, I can't wait to jump on board with Andy White as he chases down Matthew down now just under 2 seconds, coming up to pretty much 1.5 seconds behind him at the moment, gunning him down with 22 and a half minutes onto the of the race done, coming from P11. So it's a brilliant race from Andy so far tonight. Something to be fair though, we did pretty much expect. And Samantha Hopkins in the chat as well, saying, yeah, P2 already, clap, clap. And I do agree. She is that lucky charm, though. Like I said, get Samantha Hopkins, guys, in the comments if you want her to wish someone good luck. They will have a brilliant race.
All right, so just coming up to the final corner now. We're now on board with Andy White. So we're going to do a little run through of the track. So this is the start finish straight they're on now. We're going to shift over to the left hand side of the track for a sweeping right-hander. They're going to take a late apex going onto this corner, because if you clip that curb too much on the inside, it will unsettle your car and it'll force you out wide. Then we've got a heavy braking zone into this tight right-hand hairpin coming up now, and you'll see they keep as close as they can to that apex. Shorter the distance travelled, the quicker they go. Then we've got a nice little left-hander coming up in a second. Very fast, very flowing left-hander, and then go get on the power as soon as you possibly can into a tiny little straight here. We then have a bit of a heavy braking zone, and again we've got a long sweeping left-hander coming up just now, and then again back on the power as soon as they can, and you can see no runoff, and you want to force your car over to the as far as you can, and then just quick dab on the brakes to rotate through here, going as far as I can over again using that extra curbing, and again here cut across this little corner, and then get on the power as you can, tracking out wide. You see them dipping those tyres onto the grass as they go through. Now we're onto the back straight, very long back straight. Coming up next is a set of corners where a few people had those issues, where you sort of heavy braking into a sort of continuously braking into a little bit of a zigzag shape. So on the left hand side, bumpy on the left, getting as close as you can to those bollards, onto the right, avoiding that big curb, checking out wide onto that apex, and then we're coming up to the bomb hole. Little dip in the ground there, little lift off of the throttle, back on the throttle again, and then got this really, really long flowing right hander, using the sort of bollards on the right as your braking points before we go into the sharp left-hander 90 degrees, avoiding that big curb on the inside, and then back on the throttle down the start finish straight. So a lot of sketchy curves out there, bit of a bumpy track, lots of hairpins, lots of tight corners, and yes, very technical, very unforgiving. But you can see now Andy White really gaining on Matthew down here. There's that late apex, just tipping that corner at the very, very edge. He's now in the slipstream of Matthew Down. Matthew Down here having to go defensive now to keep that position if he can. He's got 35 minutes now to hold position, so it's going to be tough work for him. But he might be able to use that slipstream off for Andy White if he does get ahead, and possibly make a few more moves as he can. Because that Andy White showing his nose there, showing that he wants to get that move done. But yeah, just back it off a
Oh,
little bit to play it safe through these corners.
oh, Jimmy, take a breath, son. That was absolutely phenomenal, and like being on board that lap as well. That made it a little bit even better because we really saw how much Andy White was catching up to Matt Down. We're now what under half a second. I think we saw about 7, 8 tenths there, Jimmy, in that lap alone. That he caught that gap down to Matt Down in front of him. That was some absolute brilliant driving from him there, and some absolute brilliant onboard commentating as always. So as always, Jimmy, thank you very much for that one.
You're more than welcome. I do love a little track rundown.
Oh, it's absolutely brilliant, and it's one thing that I know. I know you can probably do pretty much better than most. So I like to get them in there for you, Jim, and I like to hear it myself. To be fair, because it really gives me a much better understanding as well. Like if me and you haven't been around the track necessarily that much that week, and I think it's really great for the guys at home. Guys, let us know at home. Jimmy's on board. Do you like him? Yay or nay? If it's a nay, I don't want to hear anything. But no, Jimmy, like you says, we're nearly at that halfway point. We're coming up to that. I think we're coming up to that pit stop time for a couple of these guys. They might be thinking about it very, very shortly. We usually see it around about that halfway mark just beforehand. Do you think anything's going to happen? Sorry, as we just joined Andy White looking to get past Matt Down here. He's pretty much side by side with him. How's he going to get the move done? He's just got his nose out just ahead, but Matt Down just on the inside of the track at the moment pushes Andy White back down to P2, but they are still pretty much side by side.
Yeah, these
Andy
next
White
few
with the
corners favour
inside.
Andy White though.
They really, really do. Will he be able to keep it down and make it stick though, Jimmy? Because they are still pretty much side by side as we go around here. Matt Down has got the edge at the moment. Some brilliant driving from Matt Down here.
Oh,
Seems to have
beautiful
got it down
defensive line.
just before. That is some absolutely fantastic driving from Matt Down. Keeps it through these very tough type turns there, like you said, Jimmy, where the move can be made. Matt Down still leading the way. Andy White did dip his nose into P1 a couple of times there, Jimmy. So we know he's looking. We know he's very capable of doing it. That is a phenomenal drive there from Matt Down. Very, very fast, very, very fair, very, very defensive there though in the end.
Yeah, I mean, we can see now that Matthew Down has definitely got the skills to be defensive and hold Andy White off, but can he do it for the remainder of the race? Half an hour to go, and pit stops in the next 5 minutes or so. Um,
It'll be
I think one of
interesting to
them's
see
going to
what
have to do a
happens.
different strategy here. And yeah,
Yeah.
whether you go for that undercut or the overcut, do you pit first and see if you
Well,
can get keep that
what
position, keep that momentum going through the lap, or do you stay out longer, see if you can have a better lap in the clean air?
was it Andy on Harry last week? And I think Harry was leading just before they went into the pits, and Andy done the overcut of him, stayed out the extra lap, or I think it was 2 laps, and managed to then get in and out on top of Harry as well, and managed to keep that P1 all the way to the end. I think it was there, Jim, for Andy last week. So that'd be phenomenal. But look, they're side by side again, pretty much.
Yeah, Andy looking just a little bit further ahead, and I think he's
Very,
gonna.
very fast.
Oh,
Very
he cuts
fast around
across on
there.
his nose, keeps the defensive line, and
Ooh.
I think it is Andy's now. I think he's got the momentum to just pull away a little bit, and off he goes. Matthew down here, losing half a second already. Bit of a dodgy corner through there, so he's going to have his work absolutely cut out for him if he wants to get back in the lead.
Now, I'll tell you what, we saw it from Isaac Hadjar in the F1 yesterday. He was thumping his steering wheel a little bit there. Is Matt Down going to be a little bit annoyed that he's let Andy White get past him now? Because we just saw some brilliant defensive driving a moment ago. Or is Andy White indeed just that fast, Jimmy?
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be as upset as Isaac was, but
A little fact on that one. So he hit it, I think it was 28 times between the steering wheel and his helmet because he double punched each one. 59 punches he put through in 29 seconds, I think it was.
what a statistic just pull out of nowhere.
Well, I read that one literally just before we came online, and I do read some absolute frivolous nonsense there, Jimmy.
Yeah, I mean that was a entertaining race over the weekend with that. I mean, actually, there was a lot of entertaining racing with the GRs. Then we had like IMSA real life. We had the F1 in real life, and now we got the GT3s here. So I mean, busy old weekend for motorsports.
Yeah, we've been treated. I think I've joined you for most of them, apart from the IMSA, and we've definitely been treated to some interesting racing this weekend, haven't we? Like we had a great evening last night with the GRs.
I mean, you were there for a little bit with the IMSA, weren't you? We watched the beginning when we
Yeah,
saw like
no,
Albuquerque had the dodgy tires and.
yeah, I caught the beginning of it with you. I wasn't paying too much attention at that point, though. I was pretty much doing some other bits and bobs there, Jimmy. But no, we had caught the start of that one. But no, we had a brilliant night here in the Tanzo with the GR86s last night. That combined race of Monza was something else. That was a brilliant race last night.
Yeah, I mean that track really pulled something out, and Yeah, very different track tonight. That was basically 3 corners and then 3 minutes of flat out. This is very much all corners and then a couple seconds of flat out in between.
Tell you what, Jimmy, if these guys, like, tell you what, if I ever get friendly enough with any of them, I can try and mix it up the two leagues. There's certain drivers that I'd love to take from each one and put together. Some in an 86 league and some in a GT3 league. So I reckon some of the driving between some of these guys would be absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, so we are just quickly now seeing we are over that halfway point through the race, and we are seeing drivers now pitting. Seeing a few long pit stops here from Vardigans and Clark, so they might be changing tyres. I think it is a very rough track, so I think tyre changes are a must. Yeah, pit exit at the same time. The fight still carries on between those two.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So it'll be interesting to see who does and who does not change tyres for this one because it is a bit of a racing track, so you're going to be putting some wear through them. Really, I'd think there, Jim, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I mean James Vardigan's 4 seconds pit stop quicker than Ryan Clark, so. Was he changing all of his tyres? We'll have to know. I mean, Matthew Down is setting the same kind of pit time as Ryan Clark there, so I think they have gone for slightly different pit strategies. But yeah, that has definitely worked in Vardigan's favour to bring him out up ahead.
Absolutely, absolutely. I you can see the difference in time. So I think some drivers may be changing all tyres. Some drivers possibly only changing a couple of them because you can get away with it sometimes, can't you, Jim? Just changing the two tyres over all four.
Yeah, I always feel a bit more comfortable with like changing all tyres, but I know when you change like one side or the other, it can be beneficial.
Depending, I think, what track you're on. Really, if you're on quite a heavy right hand side of the track car where you're going to get a lot of wear and tear to that right hand side, but your lefts are absolutely fine. I think save yourself some time, especially if you're in a close battle. You only need to change the two to get them back to the end of the race. I think change the two.
Yeah, you just got to worry that you don't get the two that you keep, that they don't get too worn out. Yeah, everyone seems to be going for that sort of 21 to 23 second lap time. So yeah, definitely putting a lot of. Oh, Casper Roos losing the back end just a little bit then, but well caught there. I
Very
thought that
well
was going to be
caught
another
there from
sketchy
Casper
moment for him.
Roost. Very well caught indeed.
I feel like we probably should mention Christopher Haynes with a 3.2 second pit time. That is because he started in the pits, so that's the time it took him to leave the pits at the beginning of the race. Um, yeah, so everyone else kind of setting very similar pit times. So yeah, definitely Vardigan's going for the different strategy. We know he has gone for a different strategy in previous races. So yeah, he's definitely keeping up that trend. The top drivers still haven't all pitted yet. Or Jordan Butler, sorry, was you can see him getting that nice slipstream just before the person he was fighting with on track dipped into pit lane, gives him a better run down that main straight, gives him that better outlap before he potentially comes in the next time.
No, it's gonna be an interesting second half of this race now. Of everybody pitting, Jim. Like I said, there's a few different times out there. We'll have to see what everybody does. So position's still going to change around a little bit in the minute. Andy White's still to come in, but has he got enough of a lead on the drivers behind him? I'm thinking absolutely. Looking at those other pit times there at the moment, with Jordan Butler sitting 26 seconds behind him, he's got more than enough time to uh, to go in, a little twirl on the way out, and still have some time left.
Let's have a look at what's happened to Ryan Clark here. I mean, having a spin and then having another spin right after. That's Does he hit the wall? No, thank God he gets it out of the wall there. That is a big old skid that he has there, though. I mean, that is a long time. That is going to destroy those tires at the moment. That might be. Was that cold tires from coming out the pits, possibly? And then
You'd think so, wouldn't you, there, Jim? You'd think so. It would
just
be the cold tires causing you that
back on
much
track,
trouble.
and then
Oh, just goes again. I didn't know that he went again. Ryan Clark, he's showing us every side of that brand new livery that they put on last week. Yeah, it looks phenomenal, but get yourself back on track, boy.
yeah, one person that's gonna be happy about that spin though is Vardigans because that puts his on track rival much further down the pack and it gives him a bit of clean air to fight with. But yeah, Ryan Clark did change tyres there, so yeah, just a bit sketchy on that first couple laps. I mean, like we always say, cold tyres, no grip. It's
Yeah,
you got to be as careful as you can.
you've got to be
Um,
really careful. You've got to be really careful, haven't you? But just
Yeah.
just a quick one though, Jimmy. I just said it a moment ago. We did see, as I said, as a joke, we saw all angles of that car there. But that's the new Spectra livery that they've got running between himself, Ryan Clark, Harry Seven, John Harley, Connor McKay. They are some brilliant
Hey, don't
liveries
forget
to
Jordan
put on
Butler.
tonight. No, no, Jordan Butler, not no. He's still running the green and black. I don't think he's changed his fully yet. But no, they do look brilliant. Those new Spectra liveries. I am a fan. I think they look pretty evil out there on track.
Yeah,
You know,
I do
you
I
know,
do
I'm a
like their
livery fan.
theme of having their own personal colours per car. It's quite a nice little
Uh,
feature.
And look, if we're talking about Jordan Butler and liveries, it's still too soon to go there with Jordan Butler and liveries because you know my feelings on that, James. It's still
I think at this point you're gonna have to move on. It's been a while now.
well, that's why I have not said anything about it at all. But I can't look at Jordan Butler in the same light with that new livery. As
Yeah, a
nice as
couple
it
more
is.
of the top drivers just dipping into the pit lane there. Jordan Butler and Baz now in. Christopher Haynes as well. So Jordan Butler just exiting the pit lane. Very quick pit stop from him. Doesn't look like maybe he didn't change tires.
Didn't need to.
Or
Well, Jordan Butler's been pretty much doing his own thing, really, hasn't he? Like he's had a little bit of a race here and there. And I think it was with Baz and Matt Massey earlier when think about a quarter of the way through, I think about 15 minutes into the race. But apart from that, Jordan Butler's not been doing a lot of racing tonight. He's been pretty much cruising, Jim.
I mean, you say that he was fighting a little bit earlier on, but yeah, because he had that fight with Ryan Clark. No, not James Madigan's, wasn't it? My bad.
No, it was with Baz Cutting and Matt Massey. I think he had Matt
That was
Massey
the one,
chasing
wasn't
him
it?
down. He was about 15 minutes in, and they ended up getting the move done on Jordan Butler. But no, apart from that, he has pretty much had smooth sailing. So I don't think he's really put too much through his tyres, to be fair. So it's
Yeah.
definitely going to be an interesting one. But with Andy White now, our race leader, diving into the pits with plenty of time on the leaderboard, I'm expecting him to come out probably in a P1 still. Will he change tyres as well? He has had to do a lot of racing tonight.
Yeah, that pit lane, I don't know if you caught it there. Like the fact it's got steps in it for where each of the cars are. You can see if you look at the wall segments of it that it
Oh
goes up and
yeah.
down. It is such a sketchy little pit lane. You see the car bouncing as it goes through, but
Is that what the pit lane's actually like, or like
I
with huge
believe
steps
so.
like that? That is crazy. You wouldn't want to be hitting one of those curbs. I know that, but there you go. Andy White in and out, 17.9 seconds in the pit, so not long at all. Coming back out in P1 there. I think that was Raymond Van Zutphen, the back marker, just behind him, so he didn't have to fight with him as he came out, but it wouldn't have been a problem anyway. 12 seconds ahead of Sean Clark, who's now leading the way in the AMS. After all that, but I think Sean's still to pit though, so we'll probably see Joe Butler going back up into P1 very shortly, probably P3 on track. But no, that's a brilliant drive so far. It took him less than 30 minutes to get back up to a P1, did Andy White, and now 38 minutes into this race, and he's 2/3 of the way through either P1 with a lovely little bit of a lead, about 16 seconds, I think it is, to Matt Down at the moment, who will be his next competition once Sean Clark goes in. Is that Raymond just dipping off in the back of the camera there? I think he
That's
dipped
right.
off. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's Raymond Man's up there. I thought I just saw the Flying Dutchman fly across our screen there as we were looking at Andy White from the rear there.
I mean, you were talking about off tracks earlier. I mean, he's got to be getting close with those incidents earlier on in the race, and yeah, he's got to be. I think he's gonna have to drive a little bit safer the last 20 or so minutes of the race. Casper Roost as well. He's had a few sketchy moments as well, coming down on John Harley here,
Yeah,
and
it's not been a very good one for Casper today, and I know I know he won't mind us saying we know Casper's a lot stronger than what he's shown today, and he had a tough one last week. That's Matt Massey doing donuts on the grass. Not the right time for it yet, Matt. So Matt, they're dropping down to a seventh position out on track. I'm not
yeah,
too sure
you
what's
got to
happened
wait till the
there.
race is over before you start doing those.
Yeah, he's out there celebrating already like he's won the race. Look, Matt, there's 20 minutes left, mate. Keep it going. We'll have a look at what happened to him there. Maybe what happened to Raymond as well, very very shortly. But no, Casper hasn't had a great race this evening. He didn't necessarily have a great race last week, so no, we'll have to see what happens. But no, Raymond first. So what happened here, Jim? As we saw him fly across the screen a moment ago.
So I think he's got on the throttle way too soon and then just
Oh
understeered
wow.
out of the corner. Going round, keeps it fairly
I,
controlled. I don't see
yeah,
any sort of mistakes going on here.
I just saw a flash of orange and black go across the camera as we were looking at Andy White there when it happened. So now here's Matt Massey as well. So it looks like he gets on the accelerator a little bit too soon. Back end comes around, says hello, doesn't quite do the full way, so he's facing completely the wrong direction there. Loses a lot of time.
Yeah, I've always thought that that corner is such an awkward one. I don't know if the drivers will agree with me or not, but you do find yourself having to hold off on the throttle just that little bit longer than you think because it's just that little bit of a longer corner, and you want to get on the
Well,
power very soon, but then every time you do, you just start to track out wide and you just go off like we're seeing now with Ryan Clark there as well.
yeah, Ryan Clark doing the exact same thing. Now, Jimmy, this is something I was going to bring up a moment ago, but I'll ask you now. Like, I know you've raced on this track competitively and socially, like with myself in the past. Like, what is your feelings on this track, like as an actual racetrack? Is it a good one to be on? Like, let the guys at home know, like from your perspective, as someone who's raced it before many times, what your opinion of it truly is.
I don't think you'll want my perspective on it. But I mean, personally, I'm not a big fan of the track. Like, it's good for racing. Lots of good overtaking zones. I wish it was a little bit wider, but there's a few kind of just I'd say awkward corners. Um, like a lot of
Okay.
awkward corners, a couple awkward apexes, and you can't really. It feels like you should be going faster than you are around the track, and you have to be quicker. You have to almost mentally sort of back off a little bit around the track, and
So what I'm
or
hearing is you're just crying because it's not essentially an easy track for you to race around. You've got to think about it a little. Well,
no,
am I
no, no, no.
correct?
It's not that. No, actually the opposite really. It's like
Oh, Casper
it
is a little losing it a little bit there again.
it has got lots of fun technical segments in it, but there's a few parts of it where you just kind of like you just want to be able to carry more speed through the corner, but you just can't. And there's a few corners where you just can't get on the throttle quite as early as
Oh,
you want to, and so it's
sorry,
a great track, but just
sorry, just to jump in. Casper is not having a great time at all this evening. Just seen him lose it twice there. Whilst you were speaking, he's really, really not having a good time in that Audi. I think he might be changing next season. I would imagine.
yeah, get yourself in a Mercedes, Raymond, if you are
Now I
watching.
tell you,
Casper,
now
sorry, Casper. Get yourself in a Mercedes, Casper, and then
Now, I tell you, you're not wrong with that. Now, I did have a little dabble in the week, Jim. I had a little bit of spare time, and I'm normally throwing it around in, I don't know, probably an Aston or something like that. I do like the Astons, but no, on here, I dabbled in it a little bit, and I was having some real trouble. And I jumped in the Mercedes, and I tell you what a car to drive in the GT3s. They are phenomenal cars, so easy to handle as well.
yeah, having all the weight on the front end on those front wheels just makes them just that little bit easier to control, I think. And
Great weight distribution. I found like driving around in them as well. They were so quick on the straights as well, which is great for a track like this because there is some very fast straights on here. It was great in those heavier braking zones as well. Like I think, like you said, with that engine position where it is, it just really helped with slowing that car down. It was great around those long technical corners, around those quick little chicanes and hairpins. Like it really did feel like an overall great car. And I think we've called to it the last few weeks that, and I don't think we've got it on today, but sometimes we have like the badges what the guys are in. But no, I think it's been the Mercedes have led the way in the top five. I think the last three races before tonight as the top five cars out on track. There you go. Just
a bit of
thank
the
you very
opposite
much.
situation
Thank
at
you
the
very
moment.
much for that. No, very much the opposite situation of that at the moment. Again, we are a few drivers down, but no, normally that Mercedes is leading the way out, top 4 or 5 positions at least. And Andy White seems to be the only one really doing it justice tonight. But no, there's some really truly great cars out there. But the Mercedes is a brilliant car, and I found it was really good around this track.
Yeah, I personally, when I drive GT3s, I go for the Mercedes. Sometimes the Porsche, just if I'm feeling kind of in a Porsche mood. But no, I do favor the Mercedes. I'm not a big fan of the amount of understeer that it has, but it's definitely a car that you can control and get a lot out of. So I do like the Mercedes, and it is a looker for me. I
No,
think,
it's a
yeah.
brilliant car. Like, there you go. Look at the Spectra car there right now. That is a brilliant car. I think that's John Harley there. Yeah, that's John Harley in that blue and black Spectra. It just looks absolutely brilliant. Guys, in the comments watching along, let us know as well. What is your car of choice? What would you be out here if you were driving with us in the GT3s, or if you do drive them anyway? Let us know what your car of choice is anyway. But Jimmy, we're coming to that three-quarter point in the race. Just before we go from top to bottom, see who's doing what out on track. We're getting to that point. I want you to start having to think about your driver of the day for today. So I'll give you the pick. I gave you the pick last night. last when we did the Toyotas. Do you want the pros or do you want the AMs?
Well, I've already got an AM in mind of who I want to pick, so I'll take the AMs for my
Okay.
driver today.
Not a problem. So, Jimmy, I'm going to lock you in for that in about 10 minutes' time. And, guys, in the comments, watching along at home, let us know who has been your driver of the day. Yeah, I think I've got one in mind for the pros. He's made it really hard for me to not pick him tonight, but we'll, we'll get to that one very shortly, Jimmy. But, yeah, just over three-quarters of the way through this race, now 46 minutes in, Andy White gone from a P11 to P1. Leading the way with Matt down into P2 now, and there's well, it's just under 19 seconds gap there to it. Andy's done what he's done each and every single week, and gained himself a serious lead there. We can see him in Cameron now with Casper Roos and John Harley there. But no, Matt down in P2 with George Butler, P3 out on track, P1 in the hands at the moment. Baz cut in P4 on track, P3 for the pose with James Vardigans in P5, P2 for the hands with Matt Massey down in P6. Sean Clark last of the podium spots for the hands, P7, P3 overall. Chris Faines up into P8 after his start from the pits today. Not been a tremendously great race for him, but not been the worst either. I'm sure he knows he can do better on that one and just be just wondering why he had to start from the pit today and why he missed that start. But no, then Ryan Clark following him down in P9, John Harley in P10, and in P11, Casper Roost. We have now lost one of the Flying Dutchmen. We've lost Raymond Zupfan for this evening. He's now declared as out for this race. But no, guys, do please let us know what your choice of cars is. I can, Jim, you already said yours is Merc. I know our main man in behind the cameras. He's saying that it's a what did he say? A Mustang, I think he said. Beautiful American muscle, and I am there with him on that one. That is my pick as well, guys. Please let us know. But Jimmy, Merc, is that what you're sticking with?
Yeah, I do love the Merc, but the Mustang though is such a weird one to drive against. Like when you got a Mustang next to you, it feels like you're almost driving against a double decker bus. They're so loud and they're so big. They're crazy. But we have got a YouTube comment here. Come on, Fez, in brackets Vardigans. You got this. Where's Fez come from? That's an interesting little nickname.
Yeah, I like the name Fez. I just think of the little hat surgeon, if I'm completely honest with you. The little red ones with the little black tassel on them.
But no, yeah, 10 minutes to go really. So I think I think another spin from Bazad. Isn't this where he span earlier on in the race as well? Clearly not liking that particular corner. That's the same one that we were saying earlier, where you want to get on that throttle just a bit sooner.
Yeah.
So people seem to either be understeering or oversteering quite massively on that car. It depends on the car, because then we see both Mercedes ended up understeering off the track there, whereas the Lambo and the Corvette, I believe, ended up it's the Corvette ended up spinning there. So definitely different situations with the front engine and the rear engine on these guys.
No, definitely. Just put it back to cars for a second though. That Baz cutting and his choice of car there, Jim. It's an interesting one. You don't get many of them out there, do you?
No, I do like the Corvette. That used to be the my car of choice in the GT3s, but they they have a little bit of a different driving style, and they got very high gear ratios in those earlier gears, so they can be a bit interesting. They've kind of got almost oversteer and understeer. I felt with them, bit sketchy to drive, but if you can get the most out of them, you can get a lot out of them. They are good cars, but
No,
I
they
think
really
sometimes
are, but it's just not one that you see all too often, especially in the leagues like this that we do and stuff like that. And it more is like your Mercedes out there, your McLarens are out there. You get your occasional crazy BMW driver, but we haven't got any of them tonight. But no, it's one that I don't see all too often. You usually see it from the American guys, to be fair, if they just want to assert dominance in a British heavy league or something like that.
actually you made a good point. We haven't seen any Beamer drivers this season, have
No,
we?
no,
Because we had a couple
we've had
last
none.
season.
Yeah, we had a couple last season, and I think it was only about two, but I'm not sure we had both all the way through. I think there was only one, and I can't remember who that was. But no, we've had no Beamers this year, and obviously we've got Casper Roos in the Audi, who I'm not going to say anything more, but he's not had the best time this evening in that car. We've got what the one Corvette, the one McLaren, the one we've got two what one Ferrari, two Lamborghinis, and everybody else out in the Mercedes this evening. But again, we've only got 12 drivers out with us tonight. 11 left on grid with 10 minutes left to go, Jim.
Yeah, the Ferrari's another interesting one as well. I talked about the Mercedes being a bit of an understeery car, but it's definitely a lot more balanced. I mean, I think it favors more understeer, and if you can drive it like that, I think you can get more out of it. But the Ferraris, oh, I can't stand them. They have so much understeer. I just, it's not the car
Well,
for me. I think they look great, but I can't do those
well,
cars.
sorry, Jordan Butler in the Ferrari there is right as we're having a look at him for James's comment there, but
I
I,
mean, if it
I,
favors your driving style, I mean,
I,
absolutely go for it. I mean, I get there's people that like understeer, and there's people that like oversteer, and if you like
hey,
oversteer, Ferrari.
well, Jordan Butler's done very well in the Ferrari this season. He's doing very well indeed. I think he's sitting P2 overall in the standings, and he can catch up to James Moore ahead of him in the championship race. Obviously, James Moore not racing with us this evening, so it's a great opportunity for Jordan Butler. And I'll be honest with you, Jim, I do actually like the look of that Ferrari out there. The way it drives, I can't say I agree with you or disagree with you. I haven't done too much time. I think I've done about 2 laps in one, and then realised I was in the wrong car, wanted to change, and I went straight back and changed into the car that I was meant to be in. And no, it didn't feel the best for me, but looks wise, oh, it looks beautiful out there, which you can't deny. Ferrari always looks beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, most GT3s. I mean, I do like an R8, but I'm not overly keen on the styling of the GT3. I think the spoiler just looks a little bit crazy, but I have seen them in real life as well. But then they do look and sound mean.
All right,
Um,
sorry, I'm just going to jump in there, Jimmy. Just on that, Marshmallow in the comments. The BMW drivers aren't here; they're just giving the others a chance. Just saying.
yeah, wonder what car he drives.
Yeah, well, I think me and you both know exactly what car Marshmallow drives there. So Marshmallow sticking up for the BMW drivers who haven't shown up at all this season. Just saying, Marshmallow, LOL, myself there. What you got to say to that one? But no, Jimmy, we are less than 10 minutes with this race to go. Andy White is leading the way. A lovely 19.2 second lead to Matt Down. He's done exactly what we knew he was going to. Let's be completely honest with ourselves. We know how good he is. We said it before the race starts. He's well and truly shown it. Awesome Anther in the comments is just that much of a lucky charm. He's gone from bottom to first. It's been a brilliant drive from him. You can't dispute that. But at this point, it's something that I'm coming to expect now from him.
Yeah, I mean, do you want to do, as we've got 7 minutes to go, should we go through our drivers of the day and give those guys a little shout out?
Yeah, absolutely, Jimmy. Do you want me to get things going, or would you like to start with the AMs and I'll finish with the pros?
Well, I'm happy to start with the AMs because I think my driver of the day is going to have to be James Vardigan's here. Seeing him just in front on track, he's driven absolutely beautifully this race, and yeah, he's held position. He's done some good overtakes, done some good fighting. Just great, just great racing from him. I mean, honourable mention to Jordan Butler there for leading the way the entire time in P1. He's had a cracking race, and Sean Clark as well has had another great one just a bit further behind. But no, James Vardigan's got to be it for me this time round.
He's had an absolutely brilliant race there, and I do completely understand why you've given it to him. And again, yeah, with the honourable mention to George Butler, who again, Mr. Consistent, has had a phenomenal race as well. So, no, completely agree with you there. Well done, James Vardigan's the AM driver of the day. Jimmy, before I give you my pro driver of the day, I've got an honourable mention to another one of the drivers who just missed out on it. But we can't shy away from the fact that Andy White is my honourable mention, not my driver of the day. He's gone from pretty much back of the pack to first. I said it a moment ago, and I think you can agree with me. It's something we kind of expected to see. We know how strong he is. We know what kind of leads he builds up when he starts in first place. He's got himself a 20-second lead with just over 5 minutes left to go. It took him less than half an hour to get himself to the top of it. I've got to give him an honourable mention. But my driver of the day is indeed going to go to the guy in P2 just behind him, Matt Down. Now, he led this race for about half an hour before Andy White took him. But his driving to stay up there in P1, his defensive driving when Andy White got on him and managed to hold him off for a little bit. We were along board with it earlier when it was happening just after that beautiful onboard from you. Matt Down has had a phenomenal drive today, and it's really a massive improvement since his incident last week, which put him out of the race and unable to finish. So my driver today, Matthew Down. will be named today for me.
Yeah, it's a solid choice. I mean, he did drive phenomenally, took some really great defensive lines, and his battle between Andy White was phenomenal. But yeah, I think all the drivers out there, I mean, a few of them have had a few sketchy moments, and it is a tough track. And you saw from the onboards, it's so unforgiving, bumpy, a bit sketchy, and
No,
yeah,
it really is, and I think that on board it's why I love to do it, Jim, because it really gives you an insight into the guys at home who don't necessarily do this, what it's like for these guys. And I think it's at points like that, and I know we laugh and we joke about it at the time, and I know we can get away with it, like with someone like Casper, who hasn't had the best of races this evening down in P11 at the moment, currently back of the pack with Raymond out. But you can kind of understand it a little bit more, can't you, with the onboards? You see what these drivers are having to do, and then you can kind of forgive the off tracks a little bit more and the hitting those curbs a little bit more, because when you are driving around sometimes on some of these crests and some of the horizons of these hill and around the corners, you just can't see what is coming and what is going on. You're looking at the sky, you're looking at road tarmac ahead of you. It really can be quite a challenging situation, but it then does go to show on the other side of that coin, Jimmy, how good some drivers really are at driving these, i.e. Matt Down, who's my driver of the day again, Andy White, George Butler, Mr. Consistent each and every single week. Like, we are seeing how good these guys really can be at driving these cars.
yeah. I think Jordan Butler as well. He's going to have to work his way up to being a pro for next season if he if he is still joining us for that one.
No, I'm going to speak to the marshals that be in power at the end of the season and see what we can do with George Butler, because he is honestly phenomenal, and I want to see him competing in the pros. Give him that pro color next to his name as well, with a little bit more incentive if he's sitting around about P3, P4, where we're used to, but sitting comfortable for the AMs. Put him in the pro mix, and we'll have to see what happens. Obviously, that's out of anyone's control, but we'll see what happens next season, won't we?
Yeah, and just quick comment here. When we're talking about BMWs, Marshmallow in chat. Do you know it's day one of owning a BMW? I end up in a bush, so I get it. Yeah.
I bet he didn't even indicate to let people know he was turning into the bush either.
No, it's classic BMW driver that is.
Oh, terrible, terrible. But yeah, the BMWs again haven't shown up this season at all. Andy White leading the way at the start of his race. Well, the back of the pack that started his race down in P11, leading the way with a couple of minutes left to go, P1, followed by Matt down in P2, George Butler down into P3, P1 in AMS at the moment, followed by Baz Cutting, Matt Massey in P5, James Vardigan down to P6, P2 in the AMS, so a good race from him, followed by Sean Clark down in P7, Chris Haynes in P8, not a great start. He started from the pits tonight, so he's done okay this evening. Ryan Clark just behind them. Well, not just behind them, a fair few seconds off them. Down in P9 with John Harley in P10, Casper Roost in P11, and we have only lost Raymond so far this evening. Not 100%.
Oh,
I saw Casper's back end there go.
Casper.
Casper, 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 just get to the end of the race, mate. There's only a minute or so left.
Yeah,
Not
I
too
think we
sure
need to start a
what.
GoFundMe for Casper for next season just to get him in get him in
Buy
a
him a,
safer car.
buy
Yeah,
him a Mercedes.
get him a Ferrari, get him something where that front end and the rear end are just a lot more stable because that Audi is definitely not the car to be in.
By CasperRoosterMerc.org on the charity pages there. We'll get one going for him for next season. But no, I'm not too sure how we lost Raymond earlier. I just know that obviously he wasn't having the best of times. We saw him go off track a couple of times there, but uh, we've only lost the one tonight, so we're only going to finish with 11 cars on track though. But Jimmy, less than a minute to go. We've probably gone that last lap in a
Yeah,
moment's
we are on that
time.
last lap right now.
There you go, last lap as we speak. So we'll sit with Andy White as he completes that lap. 20-second gap to Matt down in P2. Unless Andy has a serious run off here, which I haven't seen him do all season, and something massive happens, I can't see Andy throwing away the win from this point. Can you?
No, I mean even if he has a big crash, 21 seconds is I mean starting from last and getting 21 seconds ahead. That's just nuts. Like I don't know what Andy's doing, what's going on, but that is some crazy pace that he's had this season. And
No,
yeah, you
yeah.
can't blame him for starting from the back just because it gives him a bit more
Well,
of a.
I'm running out of ways, Jimmy, to ask Andy White in the interviews what he has on his cereal each and every week, because I just don't know how he does it. 11th place to first and a 21-second lead. That is a brilliant drive from him. I am a bit like one of them. I should have. It's the obvious choice for the driver of the day, but look, Andy's got it quite a few weeks in advance. So I've got to give it around the pack. And Matt Down truly has impressed me today with his driving, his defensive driving as well at that point. But no, it's been a great drive from Andy White. He really is a cut above the others at the moment, and he's proved it this season.
Yeah, and we're just coming around to the last couple of corners here through the bomb hole, big dip in the ground, and then carry that speed around the right hand side, and then quick left hander, and that'll be Andy White with P1. Great race from him there. I mean, he definitely deserves that honourable mention for driver of the day because I mean, what a drive!
Uh, Yeah, look, it was a very, very, very big toss up
Look at that little
between
wiggle as he
himself.
crosses the line. Little flash
Nice
as
flash.
well. Well done, Andy. That is P1 in the GT3s around the Snetterton
And
300.
Andy White again with a phenomenal drive there. P1 round Neckerton. Brilliant, brilliant drive.
Yeah, Matthew
And
Down just there coming up on a lapped car, which is why he has got a car ahead of him, but he is in P2. Little wiggle from him there. And yeah, comes across the line. Little flash as well. And he has got that P2 secured. Great race from him.
there you
Deserving of
go.
that driver of the day there. Jordan Butler as well.
Yeah,
If he can keep it safe and clean for these last couple corners, then yeah, I mean, he's got this in the bag. It looks like 29 seconds behind Matthew down there, but he has had a great race to stay above all the rest of the pros and AMs. And yeah, just phenomenal.
Jordan
There he goes.
Butler, we say it each and
Little
every
wiggle,
week,
little
don't we?
flash.
Little wiggle, little flash, but we say it each and every week. Mr. Consistent, definitely going to be looking at his iRacing record for sure, because there's no way he's an am. He's up there, like you said, mixing it with the pros each and every week. Brilliant race from him there. On board in Matt Massey now as he's going to come around and finish P4 in the pros P5 overall, with James Vardigan's just a couple of seconds off him, taking P2 in the AMs today. Great drive from him. Sean Clark just seeing now coming around in that beautiful McLaren, that blue and silver McLaren there. Going to take the last podium spot of the AMs. A little bit of a wiggle from there. Are we going to get a flash? I don't think we are. No, no flash, but a little bit of a wiggle taking the last podium spot for the AMs, with Christopher Haynes coming up just behind him in P4, P8 overall, with Ryan Clark, Casper Roos, and John Harley finishing their laps already as well. That was an interesting race there, Jimmy.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very. I think quite a few of the drivers had sketchy moments going around there. Really separates those top few drivers from the rest when you can just keep it kind of safe and on track and keep pace. I mean,
Yeah,
you got to feel for you got to feel for people like Casper there because clearly this track is not built for that car. But no, I
no.
mean, well, I'll do a quick run through of the leaderboard first to last, and then we'll get into our interview. So P1 overall and P1 in the pros, we have Andy White, followed by Matthew Down, and then in P3 overall, but P1 in the AMs, we have Jordan Butler, then we have Baz Cutting, Matthew Massey, James Vardigans, Sean Clark, Christopher Haynes, Ryan Clark, Casper Roost, John Harley, and Raymond Van der Zutphen, rounding out your 12 drivers on the grid this evening.
There you go, great race. And I think I just saw Matt Down in the background there, just doing. There he is, just doing some donuts.
Yeah, you can see it over the background, lots of smoke coming up.
There you go. He's very, very happy with his P2 there. But Jimmy, let's talk to a couple of these AMs, shall we? First, we know we've got a couple waiting. Shall we get
Yeah,
our P2 today? And James Vardigan's in with us first.
yeah. Let's give him a little chat.
There we go. So we'll bring in James Vardigans. James, good evening, sir. How are you doing? P2 tonight in the AMs. Great racing.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, I'm beyond warm.
Yeah. No,
Just
it's always a tough one, isn't it? Really, with these 60-minute races for sure.
yeah, you think in the evening it would be significantly cooler, but the room temp is 30 degrees apparently. So
Oh, you are must be sweating a bit there, mate. But no, it was a great
just
race
a
from
little
you
bit.
there. Up, like I said, up to P2 overall in the AMS finish for tonight with some great racing. We saw you having some great racing out there this evening as well. Anything stick out for you in particular?
Just I think that the practice paid off with it being a bank holiday and not having to work. I was kind of on and off the sim sort of all day. Shout out has to go to James Moore, but yeah, again another cracking setup, and then shout out to Matthew Downs as well for
Yeah.
helping me sort of find a bit of time as well during the day.
Well, no, there you go. I was just about to say, is there anyone you give a shout out to or say thank you to before we let you go, mate? We don't like to keep you guys for too long after a 60-minute race, but no, there you go, mate. Anyone else before we do?
Yeah, can we do something about this Jordan fella, please? He is like
you
alien quick.
you on about Jordan Butler there?
I'm indeed. I can't catch him. I was questioning whether he pitted towards the end there,
Well,
because I thought
I
I'd try and
did
undercut.
I did say just before the end of that race, I'm calling for an iRacing inquiry into his iRacing numbers there because he is phenomenally fast. But no, we'll speak to Jordan in a bit though, mate. But no, thank you again for another great race this evening, Peter. Again, mate, congratulations. We'll let you get going. Have a good evening, and we'll catch you next week.
Beautiful. Cheers, guys. Thank you very much.
See you later, mate. See you later. There you go. Brilliant there from James. That was he's a
Yeah,
great
he had a
guy.
great drive this evening.
Great drive, great guy. Let's get P3 in for the AMs. Let's get Sean in with us, shall we? So Sean, P3 overall in the AMs tonight. Good evening, sir. How are you doing? Congratulations.
This is a strange place to be, I must admit. Yeah, thank you very much.
No,
I've
it's
just
good to have you with us, Sean.
I've just spent 40 minutes looking at my relative and rear view mirror.
No, it was an interesting one. Lots of racing out there for you this evening, but a real long one. Those 60 minutes round here, it's got to take it out of you, hasn't it?
It is soul destroying, and it's not a particularly hard track, but like bits like Agostini or the last corner, you accelerate out of there wrong and you're round. You
Yeah,
know,
we saw a few guys that happened to this evening, so caught them out. So no, you done well yourself there, mate. But like I says, P3 it was a great race from you. But again, George Butler just sitting up there in P1. James Vardigan's just ahead of you. You were quite close with James, but George just running away with it. You guys got to
yeah.
figure out a way of catching him.
The problem is just the consistency. So in the early part of the race, the track temperature was quite reasonable, but as it got hotter and hotter, it was really hard. I had to brake a lot earlier just to be able to make it round a corner. So James like left me for dust. And then Christopher just caught me up lap after lap. It was about a second and a half quicker than me. But what I
Yeah,
couldn't understand was the early pit stops. I didn't know whether that was like they'd done that on purpose, but
tactical
yeah,
or you never know,
yeah,
mate. Honestly, we'd say there's a pattern, but there's really not. It changes each and every week.
yeah,
But no, look, we don't like to keep you guys too long after a 60
that's right.
minute slog. So look, anyone you want to say thank you to or give a shout out to before we do let you go?
Oh no, just really you guys because watching this back afterwards is brilliant,
No, thank you very
and
much.
thanks to Connor for doing the stewarding as always. No, really
Ah,
appreciate
he's a good lad. He's a
it.
good lad. Does a lot for us in the background.
Cheers, guys,
Cheers, Sean. You have a good evening, mate. We'll see you
and
next week.
you. Thanks a lot, bye.
See you later, mate. See you later. Always good to speak to Sean on the odd occasion. There, good lad, isn't he, Jim?
Yeah, he's going to have a scare when he watches back
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
replay, and then someone does a certain impression at the beginning.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll we'll let him let us know what happens in that one. I'm sure he'll drop a comment in and let us know for that one on the channel. But no, shall we get our P1 for the Amin? Shall we get a Mr. Jordan Butler with us? Shall we?
Yeah, we got to give him a chat.
Jordan, good evening, mate. P1 again. You are a phenomenal driver. You're a bit of a demon out there in this Am. Are you sure you're not a pro in disguise? Because you've had another great week. How are you doing, sir?
Absolutely brilliant. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to be able to keep that AM status much longer. I think next season it will be on the pros.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, Jordan. I did say to Jim during the race there, especially towards the end, and you'll hear it back if you watch it back. I'm gonna call for a bit of an inquiry into your iRacing status here because you are ridiculously quick. You've always got a few pros between you and second place, which is obviously James Vardigan's this evening, with Sean Clark just behind him as well. You've always got a few pro car buffers in between the two of you. Look, you have got to be moved up to a pro next season. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I was speaking to the Spectra lads and I went, do you think they'll let me stay in AMS next season? And they saw
Nah,
where I qualified and they went, nah, no chance. So I'm
there we
like,
go.
yeah, fair enough. But I'm happy to get the win. I mean, it did help with a few people not turning up, but still very happy with that. And P3 overall, I'm buzzing over that.
Yeah, P3 overall, P1 in the AMS, mate. It was again another brilliant race from you. We call you Mr. Consistent each and every week, and you keep that status each and every week, mate. You always give us a great race, and you're always well and truly up there near the top of the pack as well. So great one from you again. Congratulations, mate. Look, we don't like to keep you guys for too long after a 60-minute race. Anyone you want to say thank you to or give a shout out to before we do let you go?
Yeah, my girlfriend Chelsea, my two kids, my best friend Liam always watches most of my races. Everybody at Spectra, they're just a brilliant bunch of lads. Sponsors, simworks.co.uk, you two for always putting on a brilliant show. Everyone behind the scenes at Tanzo, stewards, everyone that makes it happen and makes it possible.
No, well, thank you very much for that one, Jordan. And it's good having you. Good having you here with us, mate. And keep it going. And we'll see you again next week, possibly.
Yep. See you next week, guys.
See you later, mate. You have a good one.
Thank
I do like Mr. Butler. There, he's a good chap.
To
So
be fair, everyone we speak to is all
no, they
nice
really
people.
are a great bunch of lads, aren't they? Great bunch of lads. But no, Jimmy. So that is the AMS 3-1 for you there. Shall we start speaking to some of these pros? Shall we get a Mr. Baz cutting P3 for the pros this evening? Baz, good evening. P3 in class tonight. How are you doing, sir?
I'm not bad. Finally, I get to speak to you properly. Look. How you doing, guys?
We are very well. Jimmy, are you good after that one still?
Oh, I'm very good. That was a good show was put on for
You
everyone.
you like my little spin in the grass a couple of times? Or...
Yeah, we did catch that one, Baz. We did catch that one.
I had a feeling
It's
you
always
might do.
interesting to see. Yeah, always interesting to see when that one happens, mate. But no,
Yeah, that's
you
just
got P,
me and my lead foot, you know.
you got P3 overall though, mate. It was a brilliant drive from you again this evening. We do see you up there truly competing, and no P3 overall. You've got to be happy with that one.
Oh yeah, yeah, over the moon. Considering I've not been racing for near on a year. Um, you know, computer problems and moving house, and yeah,
Yeah,
you get the score. Yeah, just weren't
just
feeling it.
life in general getting in the way.
Yeah, pretty much, So, I'm getting the consistency back, slowly, but give it another month or so and I'll be back to my best.
There
And
you go. So we'll have to see what you bring in season 12 then. If you're saying in a month or so you're going to be back up to best. Hopefully you'll be
yeah,
joining
I'm
us for that
hoping
one.
so. I don't know if I'll be back up with Andy anymore, but we'll see. um,
See, mate, we'll have to see. Look, mate, we don't like to keep you guys for too long after a long race like that one. Before we let you go, though, anyone you want to give a shout out to or say thank you to before we do let you go
just
this evening?
thanks to Sean and Andy, pretty much, for persuading me to come back.
No, there you go. They're a good bunch of lads there,
Oh
and
God, yeah,
we love
awesome.
having them out on track as well, mate. But no, congratulations again, P3, mate. You go and have a good rest, and
Yeah,
we'll
nice
catch up
one,
with you again
guys.
next
And
week.
oh yeah, I will be. Yeah, definitely.
See you later. See you for the last one next week, mate.
Yeah, we'll do. Take care.
And yourself. There you go. Good to speak to Baz there this evening. We've got a couple more for you. We've got our P2 first, though, Jimmy. We're going to get Matt down in here this evening, right now. He's had a brilliant race. Let's bring him in. Matthew Downs, good evening, sir. How are you
Evening.
doing?
I'm well, fellas. How are you lot?
Very well, very well, Jimmy. You're very well as well, aren't you? I know that one. But no, that was an absolutely brilliant race, mate. You had an absolutely great start to that. Half an hour of that race,
Yeah.
you led it as well. Some
Mm.
absolute brilliant driving from you there, and just keeping off Andy White. Some brilliant defensive driving that we saw you do, but he ended up sneaking his way past you. Like I think it's what's come to be expected with Andy there. No offense, I
Yeah.
do apologise if any
No,
Spanish fans there.
no.
But no, he's a brilliant driver. I think everybody knows, mate. But that is a fantastic drive from you. But P2 overall, and again, yeah, you got my driver of the day as well. But just
Thank
purely
you.
for that defensive drive
Thank you.
alone, mate. So no, congratulations on that one. How you feeling though on that one?
Yeah, good. It was good. It was. I knew it was going to be tough, and it's terrifying hearing Jeff say the car in P5 has set the fastest lap in the race basically every lap when you know
Yeah.
you're being hunted. And I knew it was really only a matter of time, but yeah, I did my best, but
Yeah, I
I
think I called it. I called it out when he was about 5-6 seconds behind you. I was like, he
yeah.
got himself into P2, and I was like, if I'm Matt down sitting here, I'm got my eye on that board all
Yeah.
the time now because I'm just going to watch him chop away that time. It's going to be a case
Yeah.
of how long is it going to be? Can I get to the pits maybe before him? But you know what he's like, mate.
Yeah, it was about a second a lap, I think, just under a second a lap. Most laps, I think, about 7-8 tenths. He was getting me.
Yeah, bit of a
And
demon out there, isn't he?
yeah, you can see where he's gaining it, but I'm not going to adjust my line on the fly because I will just end up spinning myself out. And I did that last week, and obviously ended up quitting the race because I was well out of contention and had messed my car
Yeah,
up.
really unfortunate for you last week because it was a bit of an all
Skill
over the
issue.
place race from you, wasn't it? There,
It
bit of a mid
complete
pack
skill issue.
race. got to the
Yeah.
front, and then dropped down to about P19, I think it was. Oh, it just did not go
Yeah.
well for you in the
No.
end.
No, I
But
I
it's
think couldn't have gone worse.
no, there you go, mate. But no, much better race this week. P2 overall, P2 on track for the pros tonight. Congratulations again, mate. Look, before we let you go, anyone you want to give a shout out to or say thank you to?
Yeah, obviously you guys as always a good always a good event. It was good fun, and Andy for the good battle. It was clean. It was it was good racing for the lap
Brilliant.
we got, but very clean. So thanks to both.
Yeah, love to see it, mate. Clean, hard, fair racing. What we love here in the
Fellas.
Tanzo Racing Group. No, thank you as always, mate. And you have a good one. Possibly catch up with you next week for the
Cheers.
final week.
See you later.
See you later, mate. There you go. Good chat with Matthew Downs there, Jimmy. I'm sure you'd agree.
Yeah, he's a good lad.
Right then, shall we bring in someone who's a bit of a Mr. Consistent in these interviews now in the P1 spot? Because it's becoming a bit of a regular theme here, but all the same, Andy White, just saying it's a bit of a regular theme here. P1 again, congratulations again. How are you doing, mate? You gave us a
Yes,
lot to
fella.
talk about that race. First of all, how are you doing?
I'm all good, thanks, mate. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Very well. Jimmy, you still doing good with us?
Yeah, I'm still doing well after about 5 seconds.
Just gotta check, mate. Just gotta check. But no, Andy, you seem to be purposely starting from the back of the pack this week. Am I mistaken?
Yeah, I thought we'll mix it up a bit with the low numbers, and I thought, Harry and Craig are not here, so there's not really going
No,
to be too
no,
much. So it
completely
would
get
just,
what you're saying. Lower numbers, bank holiday, 24-hour Nurburgring. Some of those guys did compete in that one, so it was to be expected. But no, we didn't see a qualifying time really from you. Then Samantha in the comments let us know. No, you're going to start from the back. Obviously, I think Chris Faines ended up starting from the back of the. I think he started from the pits in the end. So 11th to first, it took you 29.5 minutes to get up to P1 before you kept it. Great little battle with Matthew Downs though, just before you did end up taking it off him completely. Um, Really interesting race, mate. One I've got to ask, like obviously you just answered it really to be fair anyway. Give yourself a little bit of a challenge with the lower numbers out there. But how did you find it having to actually battle against some of the drivers? Because we're used to seeing you with a 20, 30, 40, just touched on the 50-second lead when you qualified P1 and you're out there at the top with usually Harry as well.
well, it was great to get in there amongst them and start having little battles, and it's just great to have a battle. It's great to win, obviously, but when you keep winning every week and you qualify at the front and drive away, it gets a little bit repetitive. So it's refreshing to get out there, get stuck in with the lads, and
Hey, no,
if we have
that's a fair comment. And look, with Harry obviously out this week, and obviously the drop weeks in mind as well. Look, you're leading the leaderboard at the moment. We're into our last week next week. Are we expecting you to do the same again, or are you going to lock it down next week a bit for us, or is it going to be a bit of a surprise?
I'm not too sure at the moment because I've seen the weather for next week, so it's going to be
It's going to be
incredibly
it's
difficult.
going to be an interesting one for sure.
It might be the safer option to start from the back and let everybody else.
We'll have to see what happens. We'll have to see what happens, mate. But look, as you know, we don't like to keep you guys for too long. Before we let you go, anyone there you'd like to give a shout out to or say thank you to before we do let you go?
As always, a shout out to Mono Competition, all the support from them guys. It's just incredible. Shout out to Sean for putting it all together. We're going to give a shout out to you guys for another great broadcast.
Oh, thank you.
Shout out to my missus, Samantha, always in the chat.
Always very supportive.
Yes. And a shout out to Scott McFall as well. He's always giving me a lot of support in the background. So thanks, buddy.
There you go. No, thank you again, mate, and thank you for giving us a brilliant race this evening with your last to first decision you gave us this week. Look, get yourself going, mate. Go and have a chill out. Say hello to Samantha for us, and we will catch up with you next week as we finish off this season.
Cheers, fellas. Have a good one.
See you later, mate. You have a good one. Jimmy, that was a truly interesting race there with not as many drivers this evening. I think you can agree.
Yeah, I mean, Andy definitely put on a show for us. A lot of crazy moments of you guys having a bit of a difficult, difficult race around here. But no, good. Yeah, good one overall for this evening. But yeah, that would be checkered flag from us here at Snetterton and checkered flag from us here at Trackside Broadcasting. Thank you again, everyone, for watching at home and supporting your favourite drivers. And thank you for everyone who chats away in the YouTube chat as well. It's really great to have you guys around. Gaz, any final words?
Yeah, thanks, Jim, for that one. Just want to say again, thanks to everyone for joining us this evening who's been along, watching along, and got involved with us in the comments. Thank you to all the drivers for being here with us this evening. But like you said, it's a checkered flag here from Snetterton this week. Next week, we're heading into the final race of the season. We're going back to Silverstone, Jimmy, to finish it all off. We're on the GP circuit next week. Before we do sign off, though, just for one last time, I want to say thank you to Spectra Racing, Clark St. James Motorsport, and us here at Trackside Broadcasting as sponsors for bringing you all of the action each and every week, and to the Tanzo Racing Group for having us along with you again this season. We are looking forward to the last one. We got race 8 of 8 next week. We are back in Silverstone. But before then, take 7 days off, guys, and we'll see you back at the same time next week. Have a good week, everybody. We shall catch you all on the next one, and good night.
You feel some monster.